Good evening, folks. Appreciate you having me here. My opinion is that Secretary of State office is the most important one. And I'll tell you why. Whichever party controls the Secretary of State office, that party is listed first on the ballot.
Oh.
You probably didn't know that, but next time you go to vote, you'll see Republicans are listed first. Now, just because of that, statistics are saying that this is good enough for about 1% advantage over the other party in any election, being listed first on the ballot when people vote straight party ticket. So think about that. This could be very scary. If Democrats take over, we're going to lose that advantage on the ballot. Let me just say a few words about me. I came from private sector. I'm General Motors employee for 11 years. I started out on production, worked very hard. I weighed back then about 140 pounds, and the parts actually that I was moving was about 40 pounds each. Every 3 minutes I have to lift it from one line to another. When I was higher in, the guy looked at me, he said, "Son, we got some of these parts bigger than you are." And my answer to him, I said, "Well, try me and see. I know I can handle it." I did. It was rough. It was rough. But then I put myself through school because I wasn't a rich man. My parents didn't have any money. I came here to this country as a young man. My mother, American-born, brought me back here. I immigrated. I came here from Poland. We had $5 in our pocket. Nothing else. No language, nothing. I was 16 years old. So folks, talking about self-made individual, you're looking at one right here. I worked 11 years with GM. After 11 years, remember Jimmy Carter presidency era? I was at that point the youngest manager with GM. I had 28 skilled tradesmen under me. I was manager in manufacturing engineering department. And one day my boss came and said, "We don't need you anymore. We're laying you off. There's no job for you." I was the youngest one in that department. So I left. And I had a choice. I had a choice to collect welfare, unemployment, whatever the government was giving away at that time. And I said no to none of that. I opened my own restaurant. I opened my own business. So not only I created a job for myself, but I also created a job for another 22 people. So that was my private sector. And the restaurant is still there, folks. If you're ever in Hamtramck, Polonia restaurant, it's still there. Great food. I don't own it anymore. But it was a great run. I had it for about 8 years. It was a very profitable business for me at that time. And I also got a chance to feed some of the supervisors and managers from GM since they were right next door to us. So that's my private sector. 1986, my public sector job started. I ran for Congress in '86 in Detroit against Dennis Hertel as a Republican, believe it or not. That was 1986. Of course, I didn't win, but I got about 33% of the votes. The next year, I ran for city councilman in Sterling Heights. It was one of the top vote getters because I learned so much running for Congress, and it was very costly for me at that time. But I learned so much. I applied all that knowledge, and I knew how to campaign. I went through some seminars, classes, and so on. So that was my first job in a public sector. Then I was the county commissioner in Macomb County, deputy treasurer in Macomb County, population of 750,000. And Candace Miller at that time was running for Secretary of State. I happened to manage her campaign, and she asked me to come on board with her when she got elected as Assistant Secretary. So I served with her for 7.5 years as Assistant Secretary of State. After that, I also worked for Attorney General. I was liaison for Attorney General in Southeast area. representing his office with constituents and working with public a lot. What I'm trying to tell you folks, and I'm painting a picture here, I think that I am probably one of the most experienced individual and knowledgeable individual about Secretary of State office that ever ran for that office. Many times we elect people to the jobs and then we complain when they fail in their jobs. Well, simply because we elect wrong people from wrong jobs. They don't have any experience, they don't know what to do. They relying on their handlers. They need to learn how to govern, how to operate, and it takes years and times. And the mistakes are costly. So when I started running for Secretary of State, I came up with a plan, and many of you are wearing the blue sticker. It's actually more than just a blue sticker. It means it's a voter integrity plan. And what I meant by that is to bring integrity back to our election process. All of you have a card, and so I'm just going to go over there very quickly. It requires citizenship to vote. Yeah. When you're registering to vote, would you agree with that? Or yes. Do we allow people that are not citizens to vote in our elections? Absolutely not. We cannot. The next one is mandatory ID, voter's ID. Believe it or not, about 18,000 people voted in presidential election without showing voter's ID. This last election, statewide, 18,000. Purging voters registered in multiple states. There are people that are registered in Michigan, they go to Florida, they go to Arizona. They can vote in every state. Wow. I had an individual in front of me at one of the elections, was presidential elections. He came in, asked me for a ballot. He was beautiful, tan. Came from nice and sunny Florida. He was very open. He said, I voted in Florida, I'm going to vote here. I said, well, then you're actually voting twice, because this is presidential election. If it's local, even though it's still illegal, but for president, he voted twice. How do I know he didn't vote 3 times? There's nothing we can do about it because the law is against us. The laws that we have now is against us. They are entitled to vote in multiple states. Wow. They're not entitled, pardon me, but they do. So a lot of people do that. It's illegal, but they still do it. Social Security, utilize Social Security to remove dead people. Right now, when somebody dies, I have no way to know that as a clerk. In Shelby Township, I've been there 6 years as clerk. I have no way to know if they die. What we do in Shelby Township, I have a person that's clipping the obituaries. Wow. And that serves as a proof. So I have very good voting rolls. I don't have 120% people voting, only 100% people register, and I have only 100% of voters. Some municipalities do that. They don't have the manpower to actually purge those lists. And I'm sure you're going to have questions. If not, I'm going to come back to this later on. But dead people should not be on our rolls at clerk's office for years and years. You can't remove them. Some of them, I know that for a fact, are on it for 8 to 10 years. They died 10 years ago. I have a person that got a voter's card from me last year, and he called me up and said, you know, my spouse died 12 years ago. And I said, well, sir, I have no way of knowing that. If you don't call me, or your daughter, your daughter or your son doesn't call me, I can't remove you. The law does not allow me to remove you. And so we keep those people on. It's costly. We got to send them notices. We got to send them every time there's a change. We got to send them new voting cards and stuff. It's costing a lot of money, and it's misleading because somebody can pick up the name knowing that Mr. Smith died, 5 years ago. What do? They go to vote without any ID, and they say, "I'm John Smith. I got to let him go. I got to let him vote." Well, this person just voted on that person's behalf. That person's been dead for 6 years. This is scary stuff. I know about it because I'm in this business. My opponents will not tell you that. They don't have that knowledge. My favorite one is, and everybody knows about that, I know that in this audience, is increased oversight of Detroit public accuracy test. I spend very little time on that because everybody's familiar with that, right?
No.
Oh, wait a minute.
No.
No? Of course you don't. Nobody does. But that's the way I address it. What this is, folks, is testing machines before every election. It's mandatory. Every clerk must do that. And every clerk must prove to the public that those machines are certified. What happened in Detroit last election?
So what is it?
Half of them didn't work. Why didn't they work? Because they were not tested prior to. I would provide oversight in every election. I would send inspectors there and make sure that those clerks in those trouble areas test those machines in front of my workers. Not only that, but also, my second point is audit cities that have problems. So I would safeguard the election prior to election by sending inspector oversight to do the oversight of those machines, equipment, everything else. After the elections, I would go out and spot check, and I would conduct audits to see that everything matches, to see that the tape from that machine matches, to see that EPB, electronic poll book matches, and to make sure that there's an equal amount of ballots in that container matches the tape on my machine. Now, is that accurate as well? Is that 100% proof?
No.
No, absolutely not. It wasn't in Detroit. What happened in Detroit? Every time they wanted to recount a ballot box,
They couldn't do it.
thank you, they couldn't do it. You know, the law is against us again. If the seal was broken on that container, you cannot touch it. You cannot touch that container. You cannot recount it. Nobody can see that anymore. Done. Case closed.
Nothing there.
So what happened? If at the end of the night, if things don't add up, if things are not going well, people get tired, or they may be up to no good. We don't know that. They throw this stuff in that container, right? Knowing that nobody will be able to recount that container. Knowing that nobody will recount that container.
Sure.
It's the scary stuff, folks.
Yeah.
It's the scary stuff, but I know what to look for. Believe me, with my knowledge and experience, if I was coming, once I become Secretary of State, they see me coming, they would probably think twice about doing these things because I know what to look for. Now, so this is my voters' integrity plan. I have another plan. It's customer service plan. I'm not sure about your areas here, but my opponent, Democratic opponent, Jocelyn Benson, is already hitting sitting Secretary of State hard on long lines at Secretary of State's office. Now, I don't know if this is true in your area, but I got called from Livonia, Warren, Detroit, that there's 2 to 3 hours wait at Secretary of State office. She knows that. Jocelyn Benson already know that. It was in Detroit News. This is what she said. My husband came from Afghanistan. I leave for 48 hours. This is a true quote. If you don't believe me, it's Macomb Daily front page story. She said, my husband came for 48 hours. 9 hours of that he waited at Secretary of State to renew his plates. Now, it's exaggeration. You know that.
Yeah.
But look how she packaged this, how she's playing with people's emotions, that this poor guy came and he wasted all that time at Secretary of State. They're going to use this against us. They're going to use this against us. So I came out with the customer service plan, and I rolled out my first initiative. I don't know if anybody saw this already or no?
No.
If you didn't, this is what I'm going to tell you what this is. My plan is to offer multiple year car and trucks registrations.
Yay.
Think about it. For lease cars, it's a duration of the lease. 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. For everyone else, it would be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. That's your choice. I'm going to give you a choice. You don't want to sit at branch office on your birthday, and I know most of you would rather spend your birthday somewhere else, the Secretary of State office. You have a choice to pay 2 years, 3 years, prepay your registration. If you transfer that plate, you transfer that money as well. It goes with you. So I've been already attacked by media on this, and also the lobbyists in Lansing. This is one of the lobbyists said after this came out. There was a little story in Lansing newspaper. It says this: it's been tried before, and there wasn't any takers. That's a lobbyist saying now. Essentially, the cost of doing it was not worth the effort. Now, in my press release, this is what I said, folks. This is what I said. On leased cars, trucks, registration will be valid for duration of the lease. For all other cars and trucks, I propose choices for registrations to be renewed every 1, 2, or 3 years. The choice is up to individual. Did I say anything about money?
No.
Did I say anything about money? The cost? It is, this plan, let me tell you, this plan,
Save money.
this plan will save money in the long run, but what it does, it's a cost neutral and revenue neutral. Let's say this for a minute. It's convenient and choice for you. It's convenient and choice for the taxpayers. That's my goal. That's customer service. We can address the money later, and I know what I want to do. My goal with this is to see you at my office, branch office, every 3 years. Think about the number of people will be taken away from that, from waiting in line. I can cut it in third. So if you waited for 3 hours, now you got only 1 hour. Is it good enough? No. Stay tuned. In 10 days, I'm announcing my second initiative. And I don't want to do it at all in time because I want the press, they don't think as fast as we do. And if they do, it's not always accurate. So I want them to have 10 days to process this. So when this came out, I called the reporter, and we sat on the phone for about 20 minutes. And I told him exactly what I told you. I said, did you read my press release? Well, I read the headline, I read this, and I said, no, that wasn't the question. Did you read my press release? Where in this press release I said I addressed the money situation? I said choices, convenience, and options. Oh, I didn't think of that way. Of course you did, because you wrote what the heck you want to write about, right? You want to write, you like the status quo. The establishment loves status quo.
Why?
Any kind of problem comes up, throw more money at it. Throw more money at it. It's not going to happen under my watch, folks. I'm from Shelby Township. I'm more than a clerk. I'm also a voting member on Board of Trustees. I got $80 million budget. Me and 6 other people. All the bills are paid. We built 2 brand new fire stations the last 3 years. We're building another one, building a fire station, we build police stations, we're building a courthouse. Guess what? Everything's paid cash. We don't bond for anything. Everything's paid cash. You don't believe me? Check it out. I'm from Shelby Township. Come see me, we'll have a cup of coffee. So this is what we got, folks. And let me talk to you a little bit about my opponent, Benson, Jocelyn Benson. It's, my opinion, it's the same recycled politicians that ran 4 years ago, and she lost badly. She lost badly because she came up with new gimmick this time, though. 30 minutes guarantee. 30 minutes guarantee service at the branch office or on election day. She's promising you that you're not going to wait more than 30 minutes when you go to vote. Great experience. She claims she's got great experience. So I went a little deeper, started checking. Her experience is based on a book she wrote. She wrote a book. Well, by the way, she's well educated. She's Harvard educated. I give her that. Very smart. Her experience comes from the book. What does she have in the book? Testimonies from clerks. It doesn't have my name because I would love to give her my opinion, but she's got some other clerks. She's got 5 or 6 clerks. Never call me. And she's basing her opinion on, she's being expert in elections. Remember what I just told you. She's guaranteeing you 30 minutes wait in line to vote. Let me ask you a question. What does she have to do with elections? What control does she have over local elections? Who runs elections?
The local,
Clerk.
right.
What control will she have to tell the clerk, you better wrap this up in 30 minutes or I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I don't know what she's going to do. Nothing. Nothing. She has zero control. Wow. And this is why I love to run against people like her and my opponents on my side, on the Republicans. They have no clue. Folks, they have no clue. She doesn't know what she's talking about. One of the lobbyists or handlers told her, hey, sounds good. Put in there 30 minutes, wait in line on election day. Baloney, as they would say in my county. She can't do it. She has no control over it. 30 minutes wait for license plates, another one. Folks, under the current structure, what is she going to change? The structure is in place. What is she going to do any different?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. It sounds good, right? 30 minutes guarantee, and you'll be out of there in 30 minutes. Now, one more thing, and I'm going to open up for questions. I know some people got big smirks on their faces. I don't know if I look funny or maybe it's something I said. I don't know, but let me open this up for questions. So, any questions? Fire away. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, you got car dealers selling license plates now, and you
Sure.
got retailers selling lottery tickets. Why don't you privatize the offices of the Secretary of State? And because I believe years ago they were like a franchise,
Yeah.
and
At
then
one
they
point-
socialized them, and then the line started.
Absolutely, that's a good point. You would have to negotiate with the unions and with the labor force.
Not if you sold them.
You would have to. You would have to. Otherwise, you got major lawsuits, and you would jeopardize the state for millions of dollars and years, bunch of lawyers. I would look into it, but it would have to be very careful how it's done.
What did the union say about car dealers selling license plates?
Well, guess what? It took a while because I was there actually when we allowed, first of all, for a dealer, a while back, they would come in and they had to wait like everybody else in line. So what we did, I was there, we opened up a window, express window, just to sell plates. Then we did something better. I didn't. It was the next Secretary of State is letting the dealers print their own plates.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're doing that now. And it seems to be working. They seem to be happy for
How
now.
long's that been going on? A couple of years?
Oh no, it's been going on probably about 4 years, 5 years. But I have another initiative to deal with something similar to that. I can't talk about it because I got to wait till I roll out my next
10
initiative.
days.
But we'll deal.
I'm excited to hear about it.
Oh, you know, how many of you like this multiple years registration card? Raise your hand.
Sounds good.
If you like this, you're going to love my next initiatives. Promise you. And take my card and call me. And let me know if you do. I can't tell you what it is right now. We're going to put it out. One other thing is, you got my card here, folks. My cell number is on it. And it's this number right here. You can call me at any time. My address is on it. My home address is on it. If I don't keep my promise on the voters intent, you come see me. You're going to look for me at my house, aren't you?
Oh.
No.
Look at my opponents.
Somebody might.
Look at my opponents. What do? The lady lives in Grosse Pointe. And look at the address on her card. It's a Lansing address. It's a Lansing phone number. It's not 313, it's 517. These are her handlers. If you call my opponents, she would not answer the phone. It would be one of the handlers because they supposedly know the answers to a lot of this stuff. You would more or less ask questions that that person doesn't know any answers. If you call me directly, or you can ask me any questions right now, I'm here. Actually, I love questions, but I do more than questions. I put out initiatives. What I usually do is challenge the people, challenge the voters, and said, this is what I'm proposing. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I thought about this long and hard. I put out my voters' integrity plan 10 months ago. I'm just coming out now with a customer service plan. The reason I can't tell you everything and the reason I don't do everything in line, they steal my stuff. They have no clue, they have no idea. I'll put out everything at one time. All of a sudden, one of my opponents started talking about voters' integrity. We need voters' integrity. We do. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, Stan's plan here, you know, this is what we need. Well, sounds good, but I put this out 10 months ago. So this is what's going on. I feel very confident. I can go to work for you on day one. I don't need any training, even though it's required, and I would take additional training just to get maybe some new good ideas. And let me ask you a question. Can a bricklayer fly a plane?
Maybe.
Sure.
Of course we could.
You said
You're
no.
gonna ask me whether they can fly it well.
Right. Absolutely they can fly. Anybody can fly a plane, but what you need? What would you need before you actually get in the cockpit?
Training.
Months and months, or maybe years, training, and learning how to fly that plane. Eventually you fly a plane. Guess what, folks? This is 4-year term. By the time these people, they have no clue how to fly a plane, the term will be over. In the meantime, who runs the show? This gentleman, what's his name? The lobbyist?
The deep state.
The lobbyists, the handlers, and the influencers. I don't know what the heck is this word, influencers. Can anybody tell me what that means? Because one of my opponents says that she was recruited by the influencers. I couldn't find that word in the dictionary. I would imagine someone that pulls the string and you become a puppet. I would say that, right? Any other questions? Dennis, anytime. What?
Thank you. Well, so Stan, for people who are here who are delegates or maybe aren't delegates yet, can you tell us about the process to become the Republican nominee and what your thoughts would be on what people should do if they want to become involved in helping you?
The process is this. There's no primary in Secretary of State election. No primary in August. This is precinct delegate generated primary. Run for precinct delegate. Sign up. Wherever you live, sign up for precinct delegate. If you win, you go to county convention, which is 2 weeks after August 7th. Because that's the primary next year, 2018. If you win, you become a precinct delegate, you go to that convention and demand that you are sent to state convention. Are they going to send you? Depends where you live. Depends who's playing the games. It's politics, folks. Yeah. But demand that you want to go to state convention. Because if you do, you're going to come and vote for me, and I need your vote. If you don't, somebody else will take your place. They come in, and God knows what they're going to vote. Who are they going to? Maybe the influencers will tell them how to vote. We don't know. So please run for delegates, because the delegates are the ones that are choosing Secretary of State, Attorney General, lieutenant governor. The governor is picked by primary. Once the governor wins, the governor picks the running mate. And that running mate has to be approved by the convention. Approve or disapprove. We also have, next year, we're going to have 2 Supreme Court justices nominations. Joan Larson just became Court of Appeals. She was appointed. She was approved. So that seat will be open. Governor Snyder will appoint somebody, and Kurt Wilder, who's a great judge. I know him personally. He's in U.S. Justice. So 2 people there, and then Board of Universities and everyone else. There was a question on tuition. Again, folks, we elect sometimes wrong people on these boards. We're trying hard. We're trying hard to do our best. But once they get there, they drink that Kool-Aid, that liberal Kool-Aid, so fast. And they vote for every tuition increase. I'm going to have a lot more to say about this in the future, about tuitions at the universities. I have 2 sons at Oakland University.
Do you?
So I'm feeling your pain.
I own the 7-Eleven right next to it, so tell them to come over.
Okay, all right, great. So I have 2 sons there at Oakland University. But any other questions? I'm going to wrap this up. I know it's Thursday evening. I know you have other things to do at home. I see a lot of familiar faces here. And folks, thank you so much. Just keep up good work. Keep doing what you're doing, because let me tell you something. You're here because you care. You care about the directions of this country. You care about the directions of this state. I care about Secretary of State. And I'm concerned to make sure that we not necessarily continue, because there's a lot of improvements to be made, but to make sure that we control Secretary of State so the Republicans are listed first on a ballot. So again, God bless you and thank you very much.